Hi, my name is Julio Rivera. I'm an activist, journalist, adventurer, veteran, television presenter, and businessman. I've covered many of the major historical events going on around the world over the past several years, and after watching regime changes, conflict, and historic elections globally, I've come to the conclusion that the most underreported crisis in the world today can be defined in only one word: malware. That's why I've decided to dedicate my time to educating people everywhere and exposing the dangers that exist on the devices that we've become tethered to and depend on for so many reasons in our day-to-day life. Welcome to This Week in Malware. On This Week in Malware, we'll be covering: as telecommuters begin to return to an office setting post-COVID-19, experts are predicting a spike in new ransomware campaigns. Employers and human resources departments are being victimized by a creative new scheme that involves emailing fake resumes and medical leave paperwork. And Tycoon ransomware, a Java-based ransomware targeting computers using the Windows and Linux operating systems. When the coronavirus pandemic took hold of the world, one of the most obviously caused disruptions was how the new virus affected the workforce. Companies quickly pivoted towards a telecommuting model with little time to prepare and many compromises to be made in the interest of business continuity. Unfortunately, this meant loosening security protocols to aid employees in remaining productive. As we've profiled in previous episodes, employees globally were forced to navigate through a plethora of new threats, but now experts are predicting that there may be a surge in further attacks in the coming weeks as these remote workers and their potentially compromised devices return to the office. Ransomware not connecting to C2 servers. Ransomware is generally delivered in multi-stage attacks that allow hackers to learn more about the infected computer before deciding whether or not to activate the ransomware. The first stage of the attack is reconnaissance. After the system is compromised, attackers use so-called first-stage malware to examine the target and determine its value. The malware uses plugins to evaluate the victim's information periodically. If the target has established value, the malware initiates a connection with the attacker's command and control server. This facilitates the download of ransomware and maintains communication between hackers and the compromised system. Conversely, if the system is deemed to be an unsuitable target, the ransomware is not deployed. Some experts believe that the latter scenario may explain the unexpectedly flat rate of overall ransomware incidents in recent months. Given that many people have been working from home, a high number of compromised computers may have been categorized as unsuitable targets. Will ransomware spike when people return to work? Remote workers may have their systems compromised and be completely oblivious to the fact that they've been infected with malware. The malware can lay dormant for weeks or even months, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. That opportunity to strike may be at hand as states are gradually reducing social distancing rules and employees are beginning to return to the office and connect compromised computers to corporate networks. This may trigger the sequence of events that ultimately leads to ransomware deployment on those corporate networks. Recommendations for businesses. Organizations of all sizes must ensure devices used by employees at home were not compromised before permitting them to be connected to the company network. Some effective strategies to lessen the probability of a hack are: network segmentation. Perhaps the most effective way to protect the internal networks is to create a new subnetwork which is specifically for computers that were previously used remotely. This prevents malware from moving laterally across the network and affords IT teams an opportunity to isolate and control incidents easily. REIMAGE devices. If employees have been working remotely for an extended period of time, businesses should consider re-imaging work-issued devices to prevent the risk of being victimized. Device security checkups. Scan computers for policy violations such as misscheduled scans, new unapproved software installations, and unusual login activities. Cybersecurity awareness training. With employees returning to the workplace, updated cybersecurity awareness training can help reduce malware incidents. With the unemployment rate in the United States temporarily topping 20% in spring of 2020, hackers have devised yet another new scheme to exploit the impact of the coronavirus. This new malware campaign, which was spotted by cyber threat intelligence provider Checkpoint Research, sees attackers targeting businesses as they masquerade as job seekers and send out emails with file attachments they claim to be resumes for potential employees. Instead, the files contain malware capable of stealing user credentials and information. In a blog post, Checkpoint explained how this campaign works. Emails are sent to employees at various businesses containing subject lines such as applying for a job or regarding job. The body of the email reads like a standard cover letter with the phony applicant expressing an interest in working for the company. Included in the email is a Microsoft Excel file with a name indicating that it's the person's resume or CV. If the unsuspecting employee clicks on the Excel attachment, a macro in the file runs and downloads its payload, namely the Zloader malware. Labeled a banking Trojan, Zloader evolved from Zeus malware, trying to steal banking passwords and other financial data. If a device gets infected with Zloader, the attackers could perform financial transactions using the compromised credentials. These resume-themed campaigns have recently increased in the US, doubling during the spring of 2020. Of all malicious files observed by Checkpoint, 1 out of every 450 is part of a CV scam. Medical leave scams. Another campaign uses phony medical leave forms to deploy a different banking Trojan. In this scheme, emails are sent to business employees with the subject line such as, "The following is a new employee request form for leave within the Family and Medical Leave Act." Sent from various sender domains, including medical-center.space, the emails contain Microsoft Word attachments with names like COVID-19 FLMA center.doc. Opening the file attachment triggers a macro that launches Iced ID malware, another Trojan that attempts to steal financial data. This campaign uses site redirection to open clone websites and employs web injection to display fake content on top of the original pages. A similar campaign uses the same Family and Medical Leave Act pitch, but is sent from different domains, including COVID-agency.space. This attack uses TrickBot, which is also a banking Trojan that's continually being enhanced with new capabilities. As countries and businesses are starting to open up post-COVID-19, cybercriminals are ramping up their activities, which has led to a 16% increase in attacks in May of 2020 compared with March and April. How do companies protect themselves? 1. Instruct HR and hiring managers on the risk of CVs and malicious active content that could be embedded in file attachments. 2. Leverage technologies that flatten resumes to non-macro-enabled formats. 3. Be aware of malicious attackers seeking to obtain financial information beyond the initial phishing attack. 4. Watch out for well-known banking malware such as Zeus and its variants being reintroduced into the attack landscape. And 5. Apply security technologies that identify and prevent full coverage of these malware campaigns and Trojan/RAT droppers. Recent reports show another ransomware going after PCs loaded with the Windows and Linux operating systems in what appears to be a targeted campaign. The ransomware is named Tycoon as a reference to portions of its code and has been active since December of 2019 and looks to be the work of highly selective cybercriminals in terms of who they are targeting. This malware also uses an uncommon deployment technique that helps stay hidden on compromised computers. Tycoon utilizes Java code. Tycoon was uncovered by researchers at BlackBerry and analysts at KPMG. It's an unusual form of ransomware because it's written in Java, deployed as a Trojanized Java runtime environment, and is compiled in a Java image file to hide its malicious intentions. These are both unique methods. Java is seldom used to write endpoint malware because it requires the Java runtime environment to be able to run the code. Image files are rarely used for malware attacks. Eric Milam, VP for Research and Intelligence at BlackBerry, told website ZDNet. Attackers are shifting towards uncommon programming languages and obscure data formats. Here the attackers did not need to obscure their code, but were nonetheless successful in accomplishing their goals, he added. The first stage of Tycoon ransomware attacks come via insecure internet-facing RDP servers. This is also a common attack technique for malware campaigns, and it often exploits servers with weak passwords. After infiltration, the attackers use image file execution options injection settings that more often provide developers with the ability to debug software. The attackers exploit privileges to disable anti-malware software using Process Hacker to prevent the removal of Tycoon. Ransomware can be implemented in high-level languages such as Java with no obfuscation and executed in unexpected ways, said Milam. After the Tycoon files are run, the ransomware encrypts files that are given extensions including .redrum, .grinch, and .thanos. And the attackers demand a ransom in exchange for the decryption key. Payment is requested in Bitcoin, and the price depends on how quickly the victim gets in touch via email. Researchers believe that Tycoon is linked to another form of ransomware, Dharma, also known as Crisis, due to similarities in the names of encrypted files, email addresses, and the content of the ransom note. As RDP becomes a more common means of compromise, organizations should ensure that the only ports facing outward to the internet are those that require it as an absolute necessity. Entities should also ensure that accounts that do not need access to these ports do not use default credentials or weak passwords that can be cracked easily. Lastly, applying security patches when they're released can also prevent many ransomware attacks. Companies should also regularly back up their networks so that if the worst happens and they're infected with Tycoon, the network can be restored without giving in to the demands of cyber criminals. You know, as I think about the dangers that exist online, not unlike the subjects we learned about in this video, I know I feel a lot better having an anti-malware program like Spy Hunter installed in my PC, providing me the protection I need against malware, and I think you should too. Spy Hunter 5's strongest features are found in its malware repair capabilities. Spy Hunter 5's remediation algorithms dive deep into your system to remove and address complex malware issues affecting PCs today. While many anti-malware products only flag and quarantine malware and ultimately fail to fully remediate the root problem, the Spy Hunter 5 remediation algorithm detects, quarantines, and programmatically repairs malware problems on your PC. Spy Hunter 5 is a powerful PC utility that repairs malware threats in many cases where other competing anti-malware and antivirus programs may fail. To detect and remove malware for free, go to enigmasoftware.com and download Spy Hunter today. Thanks for watching.